guys, Zar here. Hope all is well. Trust you're having a good day. Hope you'll excuse my voice. Struggling a little bit with a raspy voice, but we'll do our best here today. It's 9:28, guys. 2 minutes to the open. This is the typical daily frame here: Nasdaq, S&P, and Dow. Very uninteresting morning, lackluster. We basically have a doji style candle here on the Nasdaq daily, inside day of yesterday's range. Grinding sideways here, guys, after that big down day on Monday of last week, if you remember. And we just kind of been more or less inside of this range from top to bottom, exactly inside of this range. And those EMAs are really just drifting sideways, and we're vacillating around. Something similar here on the S&P, guys. Inside day, marginal bullish body. Inside day on the Dow, and marginal bullish body. But certainly undecided here in the Nasdaq. On the two sisters, guys, 1 minute charts, there's the VWAP. We're basically sitting on VWAP just above on the Nasdaq, and at 2 standard deviations above on the S&P. It's been a kind of a steady grind here. And I think that has everything to do with earnings last night and a bunch of other stuff going on, but we will ignore that stuff and focus on the candles, or the dance, if you will. This is my trading grid, guys, with 30 seconds to go until the open. There's that daily, inside day, undecided, and nondescript sideways EMAs even. And then we have the 30-minute down here in the 1 minute chart. That's the UK open range, guys. I'm going to delete that now, and we'll focus on the UK. You can see, though, we're basically at or just above the UK, the London open range, which was 3 a.m. this morning. This is the 30-minute chart down here. Let's take a more zoomed in look at that. You can see that we have a clean traffic zone up here, more or less. If we can get up there, there might be some smooth sailing, but we got a bit of work here to do before we get there, if we get there at all. I'm going to delete this zone here, guys, coming into the open. It's a relatively minor zone. It was the open area of the London range, as I showed you earlier, but now we're looking like we've surpassed that without too much trouble. Grind up here, guys, against this leg down. So we'll see if that holds or not, or if we fold back down again here after we get open. Of course, we are open now. I will be very patient here, guys. There's the first 1 minute open range forming, and it is done, guys. The open range. I just like to look at the amplitude of the move just to see. Yeah, 20 points, guys, 21 points. It'll be very small here on the S&P, 2.5 points on the S&P, guys. So really just a bit of a grind here as we get started. I'll put you on pause for now, guys, and I will bring you back as things develop. I'm going to be very patient, as I mentioned, with this inside, nondescript, and neutral looking daily chart. All right, guys, dropping down here fairly aggressively, guys. 1, 2, and now working on a third 1 minute bearish candle here. It doesn't mean that we're going to head south here. I'm going to put a temporary zone in, guys, right here. Kind of putting back that earlier zone, but a bit higher. Nothing to do for me. And bouncing back fairly quickly. This is all in the context of this neutral daily candle, guys. No real direction here this morning yet. So for me, that just means sit and wait. Very kind of random mixed picture here so far. We are only 5 minutes in, guys. New candle. There's the 6th candle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and number 6 right there. Dead center of the open range. Removing this zone again, guys, since we have now broken those 2 equal body highs. This one used to be a blue candle, so we had 2 equal body highs driving down. We're no longer driving down, so this cascade up leg is continuing now. No reason to have a zone in here anymore, a zone marker. And back into the open range. This could be a no trade day for me, guys. As long as we are below yesterday's high, or certainly inside of this range right here, there's likely nothing for me to do. I could consider a short down here below, but it would have to set up in the right way in order for me to do that. Just watching here, guys, doing nothing. We have news at 9:45 in about 4.5 minutes, and then more news at 10 a.m. Both of those high impact news items. So we've pulled back all the way to the open range here, guys, but with news coming out in the next 3 minutes, I won't be touching this. All right, no real reaction here, guys. A little bullish, I suppose. Pushing up now, but we do have more news at 10 a.m. So I won't be touching this here, guys. And back into the open range and above VWAP here on the NASDAQ, guys. Below the open range on the S&P, but a very similar structure, almost identical in fact, and also just above the VWAP. Nothing to do. News comes out in about 4 minutes or so. I won't be touching this, guys, since we have news in about 4 minutes. Under some conditions, I might consider a long if the 9 was above the 21, if this was a strong impulse, if this was an orderly pullback. This is a nice clean pullback, don't get me wrong, but out of context, it means nothing. And so I'm just going to wait for this news to develop and see what happens next. And pushing up here, guys, in advance of the news, which is in 30 seconds. 30 seconds, guys. We can watch both of these charts, and then I'll bring you back to the trading grid that looks like this. You can see that we're still grinding higher here on the 30-minute chart. Marginally bullish body here now, but really an indecisive daily chart still. Back to the two sisters. 5 seconds, guys. 5 seconds. Boom. There it is. Interesting reaction. See how long that celebration lasts. Still below open range on the S&P. Negative moving average configuration. In no man's land between VWAP and the open range. We're trying to push up a little bit here on the NASDAQ, but I want to see this participation too after that PMI news. So we have now tapped this zone here, guys, which is really just the open of Asia, right? Relatively unimportant session, right? With a narrow range. We usually have an expanding range and an explosive range in New York, where the real participants are. When I say real in terms of size, right? It's the overlap of European players and North American players at that time. Two very, very big markets. But this is still significant, especially if we get a reversal wick like we're seeing here. But we have this daily that's saying, you know, basically don't do anything, just kind of sit. An inside day for me is neutral. That means I can take longs or shorts if I get a strong enough stack of units of conviction on the 30-minute, and of course the 1 minute eventually. This is the least important part of the puzzle. I never enter trades just based on what I'm seeing on the 1 minute chart, guys. This is largely meaningless out of the context of the daily and the 30-minute charts. Pushing down now, guys. I'm going to be very patient here to see if we can get some structure developing anywhere in through here. Obviously outside of the open range, either top or bottom. But I'm going to just sit and wait. This is just a marker, guys, not doing anything yet. I want to see that big shift candle close before contemplating anything here. Close now. I'm going to let that go, guys. I think this thing's going to drop here. want to see some more structure. A little too extended for my taste. Just measuring stuff. This is not an entry. You can always tell when I enter when I move this thing right over to the candle of entry. It'll always be on the left-hand side of the trade marker. This is contemplation. You can see here that if I entered right now, which I'm not, my 2R most extreme target would be just below this marker here, which is yesterday's opening of the New York session. This is an important zone. Just watching and thinking. Move this off to the side for now. All right, guys, sell stop order just below. Stop above this big shift candle. I'd be asking for a lot here. Sell stop right there. So in this mess and chop, guys, a break below here becomes an optimal setup in my books. And I'll explain why. It has everything to do, of course, with this 30-minute chart. We now have a bearish engulfing candle rejecting from the open of the Asian session, as indicated by this zone marker up here. We have an inside day, which means it longs or shorts, which is now flipped bearish in terms of the body. We have, I'm going to do this very quickly, we have a very bearish looking S&P at this point, shifting below VWAP, pulling back in an orderly way, looking to resume down, as is the NASDAQ at this point. But I need a break of the session low. It means the low of the day, right? The New York day, in order to prove to me that its intention is going down, at least for the time being. All right, guys, we're back, and as you can see, we've pulled all the way back to where my stop would have been without getting triggered in here. So I'm going to call it a day here, guys. It's 10:26 a.m. It's been almost an hour, and we've had two pieces of news, lots of chop. We're back in the range here. Obviously, I wouldn't touch anything without getting way above here and putting in structure, way down below here and putting in structure first, and so there's nothing to do here. I'm going to post this, guys, as a no trading video and kind of a lesson on how to avoid getting caught up in all this stuff here. Hopefully that'll be very beneficial to many of you. Have an amazing day. We'll talk to you soon. Take care.
Trading wizards are we sing for you.